Straight out of Mid-City, you're listening to From NOLA with the Forstalls, and our special segment, Chats with Chip, where I get the rare chance to turn the mic on my father, my mentor, and founder of our firm, Chip Forstall, to dive into the stories, lessons, and laughs behind the legacy. We're unpacking the moments that shaped him, the firm, and our family's journey through it all. So let's get into it. You're listening to From NOLA with the Forstalls. Hey, y'all, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Forstall, and today our episode segment is Chats with Chip, our main man, Chip Forstall. Today our segment is going to be about Hurricane Katrina. We are approaching our 20-year anniversary.
Wow.
And time flies, but a lot has gone on between now and then. I was 15 at the time when Hurricane Katrina hit, and I remember a lot of what happened after, but I don't really remember I have memories, but I don't remember what the city was like. I don't remember what the neighborhoods were like before Katrina, because it was and I was 15. So that's a memorable age, you know? So, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about, and remember Katrina and get your take about not only personally, but also professionally. A lot of people, or most people, just had to take care of their homes and their family. You had to take care of all that plus the business. And that's not twice as much, that's 3 times as much. So I want to get into all that. But first, let's just jump right into it. What was the life leading the months, days leading up to Hurricane Katrina? What was the city like? Tell us, bring us a little bit about.
I mean, it was the most interesting part to me was that when the hurricane was coming, it was not even supposed to come to New Orleans. It was supposed to go to Florida. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, those poor people in Florida are going to get hit again. And everything was like normal. Nobody, and I mean nobody that I know of thought that what was going to happen was going to happen. I mean, everybody was like, okay, we'll go out of town for a couple of days and come back because, no big deal. We've had hurricanes before. The levees have never broken. We've got good levees. And the truth of the matter really wasn't the levees. It was the flood walls for the drainage, the outlet canals and stuff. So, but nobody really thought about that. And I remember, before everything was again normal, it was just going to be a vacation. It was going to be we're going to go someplace. I bought a couple pair of short pants and a couple of shirts and I was like, okay, well, we'll be back in 3 or 4 days. And my brother-in-law had just had a little baby. We're going to spend time with the baby. In the city, I think the whole city, nobody. That's why so many people got caught in the city, because people were like, oh, this is not going to be a big deal. Lights will be out for a while, but we'll be able to handle it. Well, we were wrong.
Right. And I remember, this is one thing I do remember was the days, I think it was the Friday before.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about that. That's when you and I went to our family home in Mississippi.
In Waveland, Mississippi.
And we and you had just gotten some renovations done.
I got renovations the renovations were just done. And in fact, we went over there on Saturday to pay the guys, and they were over there pulling up. I had put a new driveway in, a stamp-stained concrete driveway, because before it was just grass, because the people who owned the house before just had grass. And we used the house a lot more than they did, so the grass was getting a little bit old. And I had that done, plus a porch that was totally enclosed with glass. And I paid the people on Friday, went over on Saturday, paid the guys for the driveway, and they were pulling up the driveway. And I never got to drive in the driveway. In fact, I was so sure it wasn't going to be a big deal that we had some jet skis that were over there. And we left them over there thinking that, okay, no big deal. It's just going to be, we didn't think it was going to be a big deal.
Right.
In fact, that house actually got washed 4 houses down. It was a all wooden house. So the other houses kind of got destroyed. This house was extremely well built, but it was totally off the foundation. Right. 4 lots down, collapsed.
And I remember going over there the first time. The only way we found our lot was the stamped driveway that we never got to drive on.
If you remember, there was also a table that was in the new construction that was still there, which was like, Oh my God.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was, oh yeah, it
Wow.
was
And I
still
totally
there.
forgot about the jet skis.
Yeah, the jet skis. Yeah, the jet skis. And the jet skis, they found those 6 blocks away, still strapped to the trailer. Yeah. It was amazing.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Wow.
That was a vacation home. That wasn't as important as the house in New Orleans flooded, and then the office flooded. I was lucky because my office was upstairs, so the
Were
upstairs.
you still at the same location that you were back then?
Yes, we same location as we are now.
Mhm.
2 windows got blown out, so those 2 offices, one of which was mine, had damage. It was, not that bad. We were able to get that relatively fixed relatively quickly. The biggest problem with the hurricane for us was cleaning up downstairs, but getting electricity back and telephone service back.
Gotcha.
We didn't get back here. There's a bunch of stories I can tell about that.
Well, that's what I wanted to get into just a little
Yeah.
bit, just to graze the surface. Like, what was the first thing, in terms of the law firm, what was the first thing y'all did to, how long were y'all out for, first of all? And second of all, what did you do to get back up and running, and how did, paint a picture?
Yeah, I got to think of the timeline and stuff. But I was in Mississippi. Hurricane hit, and it wasn't until actually the next day when the flood walls collapsed and the city flooded, and nobody could believe it. And I remember seeing a picture of the yacht club with some fire burning because there was a gas line that blew up or whatever and stuff, and it was burning. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. I knew the office was going to be okay, basically, because it was high up, but there was no electricity, and nobody could give you a real good answer.
Right.
So I went from Mississippi to my sister's house in Lafayette. And again, like everybody else, glued to the TV set, trying to figure out what's what, how bad is it, not realizing how bad it was. And then I have a couple of policeman friends of mine. They told me it was bad. One of them spent the time in the Superdome, and he said that was really bad. And then eventually, they got the city pumped out. And I remember coming back for the first time. I came down Airline Highway, and my policeman buddy, met me because they weren't letting everybody in the city. He met me at by 2-lane and Airline Highway, got me in the city. And I remember the first thing I remember is how
kidding.
Yep, I remember
Wow.
the smell. Driving to go see what was happening at my house. I remember rolling down the window and smelling. And I used to duck hunt, and it smelled like the swamp. I mean, with all of the mud and dirt, and it was just horrible. I mean, it was horrible. That smell will always remind me of that drive down 2-lane to Jeff Davis to my house. It was just that smell. It was pretty strong.
And it was throughout the whole city.
Whole city and stuff.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I did have a talking point on here, and I also wanted to mention the smell. Because everyone in the world's got something in their life that they remember, like September 11th.
Yes.
For New Orleanians, everyone remembers Katrina,
Absolutely.
where they were, where they
Right.
evacuated to. But
Yes.
I also remember the smell. I remember going to the house. It's on New York Street,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to go clean out the shed, and we opened something that was,
It was dog food.
Yeah.
It was dog food that had been sitting there for weeks.
yeah,
And
and
rotten.
it was just a smell, and I never forget that.
Yeah.
And you and I,
Gross.
yeah, it was.
We had dual power wash machines, and we power washed all
Yeah.
the outside of the house. We power washed the garage. We power washed the backyard. We power washed the streets. I don't know if you remember that. We power washed the
I
streets
do
in
remember
front
that.
of the house.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, we power washed the walkways, sideways, because we had a contract. It was a buddy of mine working on the inside, and our job was to clean all the outside. You and I would go every day for weeks, and that's what we did. We worked on the outside of the house while they worked on the inside of the
Yep.
house.
And I remember too that I think you wanted me to paint. We painted the house,
We did.
and you wanted me to paint. I don't know if you remember this. You wanted me to paint the bottom of the perimeter of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the painters that had did it.
Yeah.
There was a gap,
Right.
and you told me to go paint.
Yeah.
Well, I had taken the liberty of going up and make another coat all the way up.
Uh-huh.
but the paint didn't match.
Right.
And
We
so
had
we had to repaint the whole house. You remember that?
I do remember
But yeah,
that.
so we went down. I think we were living in Covington.
At the time, I bought a house, sight unseen, in Covington, a little bitty house, 3-bedroom, 1,400 square feet, as opposed to my 5,000 square foot house.
Right.
It was interesting.
Just something
Just something to buy. Bought
that
it
wasn't
house.
flooded.
Bought it brand. It was brand new. Nobody had lived in. I bought it over the phone from somebody that I knew.
Wow.
That's where we lived, and then we drive in every day and we work in the house and drive back.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we were. Well, I remember we were the first ones back in the neighborhood.
We were, because of my buddy, who's a really good buddy of mine, was, everybody was looking for stuff. He worked with us and stuff, and then we ended up with another friend of mine, electrician, got a generator, and we were able to install a generator. And because at that time, electricity, they had no electricity, they had little electricity. Electricity used to go off all the time. So yeah, we were the first people back. We were the first people back in the neighborhood. And I even remember having a sign saying, "We're back. We're not leaving. We love our city."
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. And we stuck it right in our front yard and
Tell you
you
something
drive.
else. Yeah, I tell you something else you don't remember, most probably, and stuff, because everything was brown, everything was dirty, everything was smelly. I went out and bought rye seed, and because now we're talking, it was now October, November, before we could move back and stuff. We didn't actually get back until January. Actually, get back into the house in January, but I remember putting down rye seed, and the grass was green, 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 and everything else in the whole neighborhood was just brown. That I do remember being there at night when the electricity would go off again, because it would go off all the time. And the lights, our house was lit up, and the outside lights were lit up, and the whole neighborhood was black,
Right.
dark. I mean, no street lights, nobody else. It was spooky and eerie.
But for everybody else that was driving down Robert E. Lee, we were a spotlight.
Yeah,
Because
because I had extra lighting
Yeah,
put
extra
up. Yeah, I had so
So
much lights.
it wasn't just that you were the only house lit up,
No.
but you had
Yeah,
all
I
the
had my
extras.
house. I mean, I put in extra outdoor lighting, spotlights, the whole works to light up, because it was just spooky when lights
Right.
would go out. It really
Right.
was.
And I vividly remember that. That's
Yeah.
that's when I say, like, I remember after Katrina. That's something that just sticks with you, because it's just it's
And that was the personal part and stuff, and that was hard. But at the time, so I had all my employees who, again, had been with me forever. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do and stuff? Well, my practice was in the city, so to me there was no choice. I wasn't moving anyplace else, and wanted to get back as fast as possible. And I remember what happened. I had call friends up, trying to find someplace in Jefferson Parish or someplace to rent. Well,
for like an office.
for the office and stuff. Because after I had passed by the house, I had passed by the office and stuff, and I saw that the downstairs was flooded, but the upstairs wasn't. But I went upstairs to the office and stuff, and got into the office and saw the two windows. One of them was totally out, and the other one was broken.
Were you in the same office that you're in now?
I'm actually in the same office that
Wow.
I'm in now. In fact, I can even show you the floorboards. When you come to the office, there's a couple of floorboards that was still warped from the water that came in, left over and stuff. In fact, I just redid my office. And
You mean those boards in your office in the
Yeah,
corner?
uh-huh.
That's from Katrina?
Yeah.
I always wonder what that was from.
And,
Okay.
And if you don't know if you recently, it was funny because I just redid my office and they took the wallpaper off. They said, "Oh, look, there's mold behind the wallpaper." I said, "No, it's all from Katrina. It was all old,
Right.
But it was all, that wall had spots and watercolors and stains and everything else and stuff."
Right.
Yeah,
Wild
that
stuff.
that brought back memories when they pulled that apart. They brought back
For sure,
memories.
for
Yeah.
sure. Visual memories. So you mentioned about how, the difficult parts. I mean, just getting the law firm back up and running. Like, what was the...
Well, you had, so the city was shut down. Shut down. So the files were all here. It was before today. We have computer system where everything's off site and everything is going
Cloud, yeah.
cloud and scanned, and thank my son for all of that, because everything's super modern now. But back in the day, we were all, everything was paper, everything, and we did have backup for the computer system and stuff for the programs, but it was not nearly as sophisticated as today. We can operate from anywhere in the world now because the way you set it all up. Thank you for that. But what I remember is the biggest thing was trying to find a place. And it wasn't just finding a place, because you could rent a place. The key was finding a place that had phones, because you couldn't get the AT&T, the phone lines down in the city and stuff. They were all knocked over and stuff, so it was just a mess. So they were trying to get phone lines fixed up over here. So to get phone lines phones that you could use, and then to put phones in a building was going to be impossible. A friend of mine who had an investment company, they were downtown. They had rented a place in St. Rose that was it was a facility that had a big, huge warehouse, and that it had a bunch of front offices. But the key was they had phones already there, phone lines that were still workable. So they were going to use that, but it turned out that they were downtown. Downtown was able to get back up running before anybody else. So they had the place. So I sublet the place from them, and we moved out there. So what we did was we had meetings beforehand, and it was really interesting because everybody, and I mean everybody, wanted to get back to work. They wanted back normalcy.
Yeah.
And we worked out there. And then the guy who owned the building, at the time I own the building now, was somebody else, but at the time I didn't own the building. He was able to get the windows fixed relatively quickly, and downstairs was cleaned up, and got stuff situated here, and he got electricity, but there was no phone lines.
Right. And if anyone who's listening that is not a lawyer, it's
you
extremely hard
to
operate without phones, especially in 2005.
So the building was up and running and had electricity. Again, it would go out often, but we had electricity, but there's no phone lines. And I would throw up a kudo out to a friend of mine named Pepe Bruno, who was a state rep at the time. He might have been retired at the time, but he was a really good friend of mine. And I knew he knew people with AT&T, Bell South, whatever it was. Called him up and I said, Pepe, is there anything you can do to get a phone line to the building? We don't have a phone. I can't operate the phone, and I want to come back really bad. He was able to get somebody to run a phone line from God knows where. I mean, not around the block. I'm talking about from God knows where. Because the mid-city was still shut down. There was there was no stores open here. There was nothing. He got a phone line, ran to the building. So we were one of the first ones back in this area, back up and running. In fact, it was so just us that we had to go out to Metairie to go get food. We had to go out to Metairie to go out to lunch. I must have ate at Forstalls 100 times because I remember that. They were close, and they were one of the first restaurants that opened out in Metairie and stuff. There's no place else to go to eat. But we came back, and again, God bless my staff, because everybody wanted to come back to work. Everybody wanted to help. Everybody wanted to do what was right. And we were able to get back up and running out in St. Rose. But as soon as I got that phone line, we all moved, and we all helped. Everybody got together. We all put stuff in our cars, our trucks, and we all moved everything back over here and stuff. And we got back up and running.
And so you had a real team effort of everybody was all hands on deck. And
every single body in the office and stuff went way overboard.
That's refreshing. Yeah. That really is. How many employees did you have at the time? I don't remember.
I was probably almost as many as I had now. I was probably had about 20.
Oh wow! I didn't realize you had grown that fast.
And then the problem was that it took. I mean, thank God, I didn't know anybody any money and stuff, and we had money set aside, savings accounts, because it was tough for a long time. There was no money. I mean, there was people weren't driving as much because there just weren't as many people in the city. People had a hard time getting to the doctor because the doctor's offices weren't open. And we were able to start settling cases and helping people and stuff. We helped people with Katrina cases. And then as the city started opening up again, we started getting, more business. But it was a good year. I mean, a good year before things, I would say, get back to what I call basically normal.
For sure. And do you know if you were like one of the first law firms to open up shop back after Katrina?
I knew I was one of the first law firms in Mid-City. I can tell you that right now, if not the first.
And do you think that in any way benefited you in the long run, or how it shaped, how really,
Yeah, again, we talked about this before. 80% of my clientele, 85% is old clients, referral from old clients. I think they all appreciate that. They appreciate everything we do. They appreciate the way we take care of them. They appreciate the way we talk to them. They appreciate you can see his T-shirts that he's got. We give out T-shirts now. I think they appreciate when I walk in the door. You know, when I walk in when they're coming for a new case, and I come in and talk to them and stuff. And I think they do appreciate the fact that we were coming back again, helping them. And a lot of times there was a lot of help that we weren't getting paid for. We were just helping them and stuff. I mean, helping them get situated with different things and stuff. We did help them with some Katrina claims. And some of the people, I didn't charge them very much money, if anything at all, because I wanted them back. I wanted my people back. I remember loaning somebody, a couple of clients, money that they could rent a truck to move the stuff back.
Wow.
Because I mean, without my clientele, I'm nothing.
Right.
I mean, I'd be a retired lawyer.
Right. So you were actively helping people get back to the city.
Anybody and everybody I could. I was encouraging people to come back, helping people find jobs, helping people getting open. Anything I could do to help. Anything I could do to help. Because it was again, you know, that's what makes the city different than a lot of places. Everybody back then, everybody was helping everybody.
Yeah.
It was
absolutely.
a good, I mean, it was, believe me, it was traumatic. I still remember some traumatic things that happened, or just the trauma, but and I didn't realize how much trauma it caused until years later, because I was right in the moment.
Right.
I was right in the moment. All I was doing was
like adrenaline's going.
I had a pair of jeans
mode.
that I used when I was. This is funny. I had a pair of jeans. I still have them. A pair of jeans that I used to work in every day, and it was and I pulled them out of my house in Mississippi, and that's 20 years ago and stuff. And I pulled them out and stuff, and there was no way in the world I could even close to getting them on. I had lost so much weight with the stress of Katrina. It just, you know, working. I mean, I was doing physical work, too stressed to eat. I wasn't worried about food. I ate. I knew I had to eat, but it wasn't like now where you go out and have a big meal. I mean, I ate to live as opposed
to live.
I ate to live as opposed to live to eat.
Right.
I live to eat. I can promise you all that. You don't get like this without living to eat. So I lived to eat. But I remember that, and I pulled out those jeans and stuff, and that was just about a couple of months ago, because they were in my house in Mississippi. And
did you fit in them again?
Oh, indeed. And I tried to put them on. I'm sitting to myself, and I've lost 15 pounds since the first of the year, because I'm trying to.
Damn, I didn't know you were up that much. Okay.
Yeah, well, no.
Good for you.
And
good job.
I still can't get them on though. but I knew it was just because, again, I mean, we were literally working 5 days a week. And I remember sometimes going home to house in Covington and stuff, and I'd sit in a chair, and I was too tired to get up and do anything. I just sat there for like an hour. I just had to, you know, whatever.
Well, and for us, it was, I mean, especially for you, it was, you know, when you're working at a law firm, it's always mental exhaustion.
Stuff. This was physical. Oh,
and
no.
that's
in the heat, the weather,
Right.
And we worked 6 days a week back then. And we just did. And then when I got back to the office and stuff, same thing. We'd work at the office for 5 days a week, and they would still go. Because, I mean, it was a lot of stuff to be done at the house to get it back in. And we'd go over there on Saturdays and Sundays. So there was a stretch for about 2 months, and we worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I did. I think I gave you off on Sundays.
You gave me a day off.
Yeah, I gave you off on Sundays, I think. But I was determined to get back. Nobody was going to beat me. Nobody was going to beat me.
That's one thing about the Forstalls. You might be able to outsmart us, but you're not going to outwork us.
Nope. Nobody can outwork us. Nobody.
That's right. That's right. And I was going to ask a question about, you know, how Katrina really shaped the firm, but I think you kind of answered it. But I want to see if you want to add anything. But just speaking to, like, you know, how you helped your clientele and the people of New Orleans get back to New Orleans after Katrina. Mm-hmm. Do you think that had an impact to your firm directly?
I think all that stuff does. I mean, because you can't fake caring about people.
That's true.
And I mean, I know these guys on TV right now are spending $1 gazillion. We all know who they are. I mean, you don't get to see those guys. Those guys don't interact with their clients and stuff. And I mean, no, I'm not being mean, but they really don't care about their clients. Their clients are dollar signs.
Right.
That's not us. That's not me. That's not us. We care about them and stuff. And that's, you know, don't get me wrong. We like to make a living like everybody else and stuff. But yeah, I think that is why we're still successful, because of that, all that stuff that we did before Katrina, after Katrina. Now we take care of people. So yeah, the only mistake that I made or would have made is not being better prepared for a hurricane, and not getting my people better prepared. And I mean, right now we have a newsletter that we sending out, telling people about the things to do and not to do. We just had an office meeting about being prepared in case, knock on wood. I'm not going to even know it may sound. I'm going
That's
to knock
okay.
on it. Okay.
For the effect.
Is that we don't have any hurricanes for the next 4 or 5 years, and we can get lower insurance rates and get the fear of the hurricane. But yeah, I still have the fear. I mean, if you get a hurricane in the Gulf, I'm like hyper prepared, and I'm in the newsletter that we do, the text messaging system that we use now. I will tell everybody to be prepared. Don't take it for granted. We did it one time. Let's not do it again. And the office is super prepared. Now we got.
How many meetings that we had in hurricane preparedness and
checklists and laminated cards and extra. We bought extra laptops. Everybody's got a place to go. We have other places to work out. Yeah, we're all ready.
Yeah, we're ready, armed and ready to go.
We're ready.
That's
we
right.
We even have an ad for.
We do.
For advertising to let people know if they need help with their insurance company to come see us.
Right.
And we actually have a whole protocol for that too, about how to handle hurricane. We've all learned. Everybody's learned that insurance companies are not your friends. They are not your friends. They do not want to help you. They want to make money.
That is true. That is true. And that's why you get people like us who are going to be on your side and people that care about you. We fight for you, right? So, well, that about wraps it up today. Thank you for joining us in this episode with Chats with Chip. And we'll be back once a week. So tune in next week for our episode. Thank you for joining.